Okay, this is practice test number 6, problem number 2. And here we're using the binomial distribution in a practical application. And the question is, a recent survey found that 65% of people owned a laptop. Using the binomial distribution, what is the probability that in the next 8 people surveyed, A, it says 6 will own a laptop. Now, in the binomial distribution formula, which you see at the top of the page, and your interest is only to make these calculations on the right-hand side, you have 3 variables, the n, the x, and the pi. And you have to be able to identify those from the word problem. So the pi is the probability of a successful outcome, and in this case, that is a person owns a laptop. So the pi is 65%. We want to use it as a decimal number in the formula, so we change it to 0.65. The n is the total number of observations in the problem. In this case, we're looking at the next 8 people that are being surveyed, so n is 8. And the x is the number of events that we're interested in. And we're interested in the next 6 owning a laptop, and so that is, the x is going to be equal to 6. So then we plug these values into the formula, and the first section of the formula is this section here with the factorials. We have n is equal to 8 factorial on top. We have the x factorial here, and x is 6. And then we have 8 minus 6 factorial next to it here on in the denominator. Now you notice I see the 8 factorial on the top here, and I bring that down to the 6 factorial, 8 times 7 times 6 factorial, and I stop at the 6 factorial because I see a 6 factorial here in the denominator, which is what I have right here. Now both of those are going to cancel each other. The 6 factorial on the top cancels the 6 factorial on the bottom, and they disappear. So I'm left with 8 times 7 on the top, and then here I have 8 minus 6, and that's going to give me 2 factorial, which is 2 times 1, and 56 divided by 2 is going to give me this value of 28 right here. So I would recommend doing this calculation with the factorial section of the formula first. Then you would proceed to the next section, and the second part here is the pi to the exponent of x, and the pi is 0.65, the x is 6. So when you do this calculation, 0.65 to the exponent 6, you should get a number like this on your calculator. And then the last part of the formula is the 1 minus pi to the exponent of n minus x. And 1 minus pi is going to be 1 minus 0.65 here. The exponent is 8 minus 6, which gives you 2. And when you do that calculation, 0.35 to the exponent 2, you should get this value here. Now when you multiply all 3 of these together, this is the value you should get for your probability, and you want to round that to the 4th decimal place. And when we go to the second part of the problem, we're interested in x equal to 8. That's the number of people owning a laptop that we are interested in. So the x now is 8, the n remains 8, the pi remains 0.65, and so we plug in again to our formula. As you note, as you see here, when you do the calculation with the binomial section first, you'll notice that the 8 factorial over the 8 factorial, they cancel one another, so they're gone. And all we're left with here is 1 on top And then 8 minus 8 gives me 0. 0 factorial is 1. So this whole piece here reduces to just 1. And if we look at the third section of the formula, 1 minus 0.65 to the exponent 8 minus 8, that's 0 for the exponent. And any number to 0 exponent is 1. This section becomes 1 right here. And so all we really need to calculate is this middle part of the formula, 0.65 to the exponent of x, which is 8. When we do that, this is our value that we get on the calculator, and then we round it to the 4th decimal place, which is your answer.